AJ, there we go. Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. So let's get into this. First of all, I started editing Wikipedia in 2014 when I was in library school, and there was an art and feminism editathon. And this is a campaign that actually it started in 2014 after a census of Wikipedia editors showed that fewer than, I think it was like fewer than 10% of editors identified as women. And then some art librarians actually did a survey of articles by and about, or not by, about women artists and their work, and saw that they wanted to have a campaign to push it forward and encourage more people to edit. So I went to this editathon. That was the first time I engaged with Wikipedia beyond reading it. I tried writing an article, and by the time I got home, it was tagged for deletion, and I decided, I'm not doing Wikipedia anymore. This is terrible. But then next year, I had a job. I got my job here at Washington University in St. Louis, and I decided to try it again. And I actually went back to look at the article that I had written and found that some people had actually supported the article. They said, well, it's not well written, but it has potential. So it still is there and it still has potential. Um, and that gave me a little bit of hope. And ever since then, I've been really pushing it as an information literacy tool, but it also has so many other applications that would be potentially very helpful for us in our work. This is just to give you an idea of what happens at an editathon. I also know people have started calling them edit parties. I've mostly been to them in person. I'm interested to see how the online ones go. I might participate in the Jordanian academics editathon and see how they do it. This is an example of, so this is a handout that we gave from the 2019 Art and Feminism editathon at WashU. So we give them suggested tasks because there's so much that you can do on Wikipedia that it's often very difficult to start. And so one of the easiest things for people to start doing is copy editing. And then we have all these more in-depth options with time suggestions so that they can decide how much they want to engage. Usually I encourage people who haven't edited before to plan to be at an editathon for at least 2 hours. And I feel like that's an appropriate amount of time for people to dip their toes in and get interested enough that they'll try it again later. So now I want to launch the poll. And I'm interested to know what sort of engagement people who are at this presentation have already had with Wikipedia.
So just a little side note, if you are a meeting host, you won't be able to participate in the poll. So do not message us.
That's right. And once you have submitted your poll, also there's a less formal poll here on the screen. So you see these instructions here for how you can annotate the screen. If you could just make some notes here on things that maybe you're interested in doing or you're especially excited about in some way. Is anyone having difficulty finding their annotate tools? This would be at the very top of your screen, and when you hit the annotate, this is the green part where it says that you're seeing the host screen. Okay. Not sure what some of these mean, but okay. So people are excited about reliability, improving. Yes. So Wikipedia is the most commonly used reference source. I know it's in the top 10 of visited websites, and that's Wikipedia as a whole, so not necessarily separated by language. And they often talk about Wikipedia projects, and that's because there are so many different projects within Wikipedia. And Wikidata is one of those, and we'll talk about that too. So I am really excited about this enthusiasm. Um, I do this, the active learning for information literacy, a lot. I've also featured collection items on Wikipedia articles. Sometimes I've done that after a reference interview, and I'm like, well, this is something really helpful, and I think they should be able to find this without having to come talk to me. Looks like we've been at the 82% of voting. So I'm going to go ahead and launch and share the poll results. So I got a couple people who've argued with strangers on Wikipedia, and I have also done that. I try to do it a little less now because it's exhausting. Writing articles is very it's impressive. I'm glad that we've got somebody here who've gone into that. I I will say that when I wrote an article for my first time doing Wikipedia was probably a really big mistake, and I wish that I had known to not do that. It ends up being a lot more work than expected, especially if you are covering somebody who maybe doesn't have a lot of secondary resources about them. And we'll get into that a bit more. I really recommend starting with some copy edits and adding citations before getting deep into it. But thank you for participating in this. And as we go on, you are welcome to continue to use the annotations in order to, as long as I can figure out, there we go. I'm clearing all the drawings. To highlight things that I maybe, because sometimes I will forget to cover things because I'm like anxious about presenting in front of people. So if you see something that you really want to make sure it gets covered, just put a check mark or a star or a heart by it. So some challenges and opportunities. The Wikipedia projects, like I said, they're numerous. There's so many different things going on. It's hard to keep track of them. They link between each other, but it takes a lot to get, it's a lot to figure out. And it's impossible to be an expert. That said, it's kind of great that no, you can't be an expert because it's a large collaborative community of editors. And you're not supposed to be doing everything by yourself. That's the point of the less hierarchical structure, the crowdsourcing of the encyclopedia. And no one is necessarily an authority. So it's never finished. That also means that you don't have to finish everything you do because you can leave it for somebody else to add to. And that's a big part of why writing an article can be so difficult is that there's so much to say about something. And especially us as librarians, we're just like, oh my God, so many resources. I have to share all of them. But you can put the resources out there and let other people come in and finish the job. And no single person can mess it up. If you do something that isn't following the norms or whatever, somebody might just come in and take it out. That is a good and a bad thing. Yes, that's a good question about primary sources, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The no set rules can be it can be a mess sometimes, honestly. It can also work really well sometimes. I sort of, when I was preparing for this presentation, I started thinking about how, in some ways, when I do get into these arguments with people about what content should be on a website or on an article or how it should be framed, it does sort of feel like we're doing like an ijtihad of like the Wikipedia principles. And sometimes that can be fun, but sometimes it can really be onerous. Oh, I will clear those. So linking and visibility is another thing that I'm really excited about and I'm going to highlight. Um, so I'm just going to show this as an example here. This actually, I added this last year at MELA when we were getting a Library of Congress presentation about the Muhammad al-Tahir collection. And I saw it and was like, this is a really great resource that I'm not sure people would think to find at the Library of Congress. And so while we were there, I just went to the Wikipedia article for Muhammad al-Tahir and I added a link to the collection, and then I created a wiki link to the Library of Congress article. This is the authority control, and Iman will talk about that a bit more. These are the categories, and if you've dug around on Wikipedia, you've probably found that these categories often need a lot of maintenance, but they can really lead you to some excellent sources and maybe some people that you didn't know existed. So yeah, adding links to digital collections and finding aids, that's something that I often do. And then I haven't done as much of uploading images, mostly because there's a lot of copyright complications. But I think for people who do work with images significantly, there's a lot of opportunities there. Now I wanted to do a little demo. And this is especially to show how helpful it is to actually have an account with when you edit Wikipedia. It is possible to edit Wikipedia without an account, but you have to have an account in order to have the visual editor. So I'm going to show you, this is what it looks like if you don't have an account. It's the special
AJ,
wiki markup text.
we aren't seeing that screen.
Oh, you aren't? Thank
No.
you. Okay. Okay, do you see the Wikipedia article now?
Yes, that's good.
Perfect, thank you. So this is the markup text, and it's similar to HTML, but it's not the same. And so that just means a whole extra barrier. And especially if you are already using HTML, that can get confusing. So I tend to use the visual editor. And unfortunately, in order to use the visual editor, you actually have to go into the settings and preferences and change it there. But once you have it activated, it's basically like editing like a Word document or like a WordPress. So I'm going to add a citation for this article here from CRL about MEMP. And I have already made a summary, or yeah, I've summarized some information that I'm going to add in because, I mean, copyright still applies here. So you need to put things in your own words or paraphrase them in order to add it in here. Otherwise, it may be removed as a copyright violation. Now, I think that this information is going to be really helpful here. So this is about how it's coordinated with the Center for Research Libraries, and I'm going to make this a wiki link. So you go here, there's the article for Center for Research Libraries. I'm going to make a wiki link for Middle East Librarians Association. However, we do not have a page yet, so it's going to show up in red here. And there's actually a project called Women in Red that goes through and finds red links that are specifically about women and gathers them into all these spreadsheets to encourage people to write articles for them. So even though something like our organization doesn't have an article yet, you can still add links to it. And that way, when that article is created, it's already linked to things. So I have that section in there, and now I need to add the reference for it. So this is the end of the section that I put in, and I'm going to the cite tool. And this is really what I find the most exciting about the visual editor. Just generate citation. Now, this is not the best of a citation. So I'm going to still go in and add. So this is just showing it as a website. I want it to be, oh, okay. Well, it really should be a magazine. So I could go in and change all of that, which I'll do later because I don't want to get all into it now. It's mostly copy and paste. But for now, we have a citation there. And, by the time I come back to this, somebody else may have already fixed it. We'll see. I don't think many people are like actively watching the MEMP article, but if they are, that would be great. Any of you actually could go in and fix that if you want to. So I'm going to save the change here and I'll say MELA because I'm adding a comment about MELA there. And I have it on watch this page. And that means that with my watch list, sometimes I go in and I just see like, okay, like, are other people like editing the article that I edited? And I just like to keep track of those things, especially for some pages that are often, what am I looking for? Vandalized. So I still want to do a couple other things to this page. Now, one thing is, so you see, here's the note that I added, the citation. There's this section here called references, and it looks like somebody made this article initially using more like a paper kind of format. And so this references section is actually redundant. So I want to go in and I'm going to take that out. So that's not best practices. And then I'm also going to make a link here because articles are stronger when they have more links around. So I know here there is, and this is because I looked this up before. Usually I would Google a bunch to find these connections. So there, I just changed this into a link as well. So now I'm going to change those edits and I'll put wiki link. And the reason that I write this in the history is because if somebody were to come in here later and want to see what just happened, it makes it really easy if you can go through and just see from the comments what's going on, especially if you're trying to track down vandalizing. Now I'm going to see this page, and actually I can I'm going to add an external link down here to what we have from MEMP. related to this. Okay. So heading.
AJ, do you want to take questions sort of along the way? Because there's a couple questions in the chat right now.
Oh, okay.
Or do you want to go all the way to the end and then take your questions?
Well, I'll wait until after the demonstration.
Great. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to check.
So I'm going to put this here. And take off the bold. And now there is a link to the MEMP page. Because before, when we were looking here at the source, it says that it's an orphan. And now I can take that off because it now has another article linking to it. So that's one way to quickly improve an article that's directly related to our work that we do that is often not known or noticed or understood. And I just really enjoy how simple that is. And then, as you know, when you're searching for something on Google or you finding things elsewhere on the internet, they're pulling their information directly from Wikipedia. So this actually has a really significant impact in the long run. So now let me see some of these questions. Okay. Yeah, we're going to get into some more of this. In a smaller language, Wikipedia, is it recommended to link to English? I have questions about that question that I'll get to in a second. So there are three major principles for editing Wikipedia. One is neutral point of view. So this is something that gets contested, especially with my students. But as you see here, there was what's called undue weight on these controversies related to the Middle East Studies Association. Somebody else came in, and the reason that these have yellow boxes around them, and this is in the history browser, is because this person chose to delete these sections and then summarized what they thought was critical information about the situation. And the sources here were also somewhat biased. Now, if somebody wanted to come in and dispute this, they could say that the Electronic Intifada is a questionable source. And that's because there's actually a list in Wikipedia that shows different sources and what a group of editors has sort of decided about a source, whether it is biased or notable and such. So that's why, for example, you can't use, what was that? Breitbart, like you can't use Breitbart as a source. It's written in there as a blacklisted source. So Electronic Intifada isn't at that level, but it is like one of those like warning colors of use with caution. No original research, and that gets to Ed's question about why not primary sources. So primary sources can be used at times, but they can't be relied on strongly. And this is partially because in some ways, Wikipedia uses secondary sources as a barrier for notability. So the way that they operate is deciding if it hasn't been published in a mainstream newspaper or in these academic papers, then it must not be notable enough to have its own article on Wikipedia. I have ideas. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but that's the way that Wikipedia currently operates. So, so there are these pages. This is where I said it's a bit like Ijtihad. There's these pages that are giving an interpretation of the principles. So this one is, it's about accuracy, not truth. So, or not, it's about verifiability, not truth. So despite something being true, observable, if it's not documented in this way, it's not considered worth putting in Wikipedia. And that's a problem that I run into quite often. And it can be very frustrating. If you do have something written in like a finding aid for an archive, that can be cited as a secondary source. I've done that before. But it can get tricky. Editors, however, can cite their own published work, or like if I am taking something from my university's webpage to cite as a source, that can be done as long as it's not considered violation of, what is it, like the conflict of interest or considered spamming. And here's so there's a website called Whose Knowledge, and they go into some of the issues around the notability concerns, the verifiability, specifically that tends to privilege the global north, and frankly topics that are of interest to the global north. And I really appreciated the quote here. So many biographies of people from marginalized communities are quickly deleted either because the sources to prove their notability are inadequate, or because people from outside our communities don't understand contexts of notability outside their own privilege. And this is a big part of the inequality in, yes, so Robin is definitely on point about this is why electronic intifada would be considered questionable, even though I think many of us might see coverage of similar events from the New York Times to be questionable, right? This is an issue that like I said, I often encounter. This is why I am sometimes in arguments with people on the internet about Wikipedia. Whose Knowledge is a really great resource for looking at ways that people are trying to get around that and ways that they want to improve on Wikipedia despite these barriers. Now, I'm really excited. Iman has some great insights from her work with Wikidata to show us.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you for arranging for this workshop. I think it's great to see librarians involved in contributing to Wikipedia projects. After all, who's better than librarian with providing trusted, authoritative information, right? So in relation to that, I would like to share with you some information with some projects with library involved with Wikidata. But first, let's try to say what is Wikidata in comparison with Wikipedia that AJ just talked about. So Wikidata is a collaborative, additive, multilingual knowledge graph hosted by the Wikimedia Foundation, and this is their definition. So it's part and sister of the project to Wikipedia and part of the Wikimedia Foundation group of projects. It's free and open. Anyone with an account can edit in Wikidata. Unlike Wikipedia, Wikidata includes instructor data that can be read and edited by both human and machines. So the data in the Wikidata really has been imported from Wikipedia articles and from other sources. It can be considered as a central storage for the structured data of all the Wikimedia projects, including the Wikipedia, the Wikivoyage, Wiktionaries, and other projects. It's multilingual in the true sense. It's a one data store with different languages, interfaces. Wikidata content is represented in more than 400 languages. So that's amazing. It has a potential to be a linking hub for identifiers, and I can show you this with, if we look at Edward Said, comparing with Edward Said article as is represented in Wikipedia and Wikidata, if you can open the link, AJ, and just to see a comparison of how Edward Said is represented in both platforms. So while in Wikipedia it's a textual, it's an article written by a human, it's organized in a way, but it's not structured data. It has some linking, but it's not structured data and cannot, I think, be manipulated by machine, I guess. While if we open the Edward Said page on Wikidata, it's totally different. It has the label of Edward Said, but mainly the most important thing is the identifier number, which is the Q number given to this entity, Edward Said. It has some description, which is, it can describe what the entity is, and in that case, it's a professor of literature and public intellectual. And this is really, the description is really would help to identify the label and differentiate it with other labels that might be the same, that look the same or similar. The description can be added in different languages, and if you click on other languages, you can see how many languages has been added to Edward Said page. And also there are some aliases. Statements are other ways to provide information about Edward Said. Statements as date of birth, place of birth, occupation, employers, and all those statements are added within structured way. And also we can add reference, same as Wikipedia. And this is to cite of our information, where we took the information, and to add some more reliability. And if you go but a little bit down the page, and this is what I said, it could be like a linking hub for identifiers, because, and down the page, you can find identifier for that are given to William Said and other sources or authority lists, such as VIAF, ISNI, other National Library authority file. And this all would help in the linking. So this is really amazing. Wikidata page can be given to a human, to work, to topic, to so many things. Next slide, please, AJ. So between libraries and Wikidata, there is a common interest in documenting and preserving heritage and history, as well as providing access to knowledge. The library community can make a significant impact in providing the reliability and augmenting the size of the knowledge base, as well as enhancing the quality of the existing data. Again, librarians are expert and are good in documenting and organizing and providing authoritative information. Therefore, several projects have been undertaken by several institutions and library with Wikidata. And today I would like to share briefly two projects that have been, that are in process. The first one is the linked data for production Wikidata project, which is a significant one. Member of this project is the LD4P partner institution, and this is including Cornell University, Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Iowa. And this project has been done with collaboration of the Library of Congress and the Program for Cooperative Cataloging, the PCC. The goal of this project was exploring of how Wikidata could serve as a platform for publishing, linking, and enriching library linked data. Within this project, also, and as an outreach, there was a linked data, Wikidata affinity group, which is a community discussion of Wikidata related topics. The group, and this project started early 2018. The group meets bi-weekly and still in process, and discuss various aspects of Wikidata in support for the partner and cohort institutions project involved with Wikidata. The Wikidata project page on this slide provides some good information, some training resources, and anyone is really welcome to join this group. And now, next slide, please. Another project, and to further advance the movement towards identity management, the PCC, which is the Program for Cooperative Cataloging, has also just started a new Wikidata pilot. The pilot is anticipated to last about 12 months, and it's anticipated to involve comparing. So one of the objectives is to compare the ease of use and benefit of using Wikidata versus other existing registries that we are used to, such as the Library of Congress Name Authority file. So between or ISNI. Also assessing the productivity and the quality assurance tools that exist or should exist in Wikidata, and learning more about the culture of the Wikidata community. Participants will be experimenting in a range of focuses of area and different area based on their interest or the interest of their institutions. So far, over 75 institutions, mainly from US, but we have also some participants from Canada, Sharjah, Venezuela, and England. The British Library is one of the participants. Also, they joined the pilot. At my institution, UCLA Library, we have a team of 16 librarian and staff members. We are interested in different topic or area to explore in this pilot. Some of the areas, special and digital collection items, we would like to add some of those or enhance them in support of teaching and learning. Also, we are interested in adding non-Roman script to the Wikidata articles, and we have a variety of language expertise among the team. Some of my colleagues are interested in working more with crossover to mark authority work. And also there's one project that we were dealing with adding URI to our faculty names authority file and the LCN name authority file. Now we would like even to do more and add some Wikidata article to our faculty to enhance access. We meet monthly, and also we have some hands-on and some session every 2 weeks to exchange information, pose question, learn together virtually right now. But we are all excited really to explore and contribute to the Wikidata and as a part of our work to provide access to information. I have in my slide a couple of links if you like to know more about those pilots. We're still at the early learning stage, and there is a lot to learn. It's not that easy. That's what I have, AJ. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. I've done a little bit of work with Wikidata, but definitely, I know that there's ways that you can actually query Wikidata.
This is another way that we have not learned it yet. So far, I created 3 items, one for the faculty, one of our Department of Near Eastern, and I was interested of creating one for MELA, and this is where I found that we don't have a Wikipedia MELA page, and hopefully we can create a good one soon. There are so many things to learn. It's a lot, but we're still at early stage, at least at UCLA. I mean, we have different level of knowledge and experience. But other academic university have worked more, such as Harvard. I think they have been involved with, and Stanford. They have a good and long experience with Wikidata.
Oh, that's really great. There's so much potential there, so much analysis that could be done potentially if we have stronger records. And I'm really excited to see that in the chat there's been some ideas for different things that maybe we could do as a group to improve aspects of Wikipedia. One of the things that was already brought up is potentially making a page, an article specifically about MELA. There's also a lot of work to be done on topics about Middle Eastern studies as a field, or maybe journals or other material like that. As it is, there's a lot of the information that's out there is not particularly good. And there's a lot of space for improvement. So, and the themed editing campaigns, that's what I have most of my experience with. And I think it's a pretty easy thing to do once a theme is determined, and then we could set some goals. I am very interested. I see that there are comments about a Wikidata party, and I'm interested to know what people are thinking about in that way. Can unmute if you have ideas.
Actually, it was, well, several people said it, but DJ said it too, David J. Risley, if he's still here. David, are you here? We don't know if he's here. He's here. David, would you elaborate?
Yes, sure. I mean, I think that the question of Wikidata is so compelling. I mean, I think from the talk that we put together in the last session about thinking about people and places, right, that in the larger Middle East that are undocumented or not very well documented, I think that would be an amazing contribution. But I also really enjoyed Iman talking about the idea of linking to authority files. I think the kind of the vocation of a lot of the work that's done in libraries is very compatible, right, with that kind of linked data approach. And I just think it could be a really interesting learning experience, not only working on editing the articles themselves, but kind of facilitating the machine work, right, that's actually being done for knowledge production about the Middle East.
Thank you. Guy says in the chat, focus on improving discovery of digital collections we've done. And I think that is absolutely an excellent thing for us to do. So much work that we've already invested into these really great projects and making them findable. Especially there's not Middle East focused, but a project that my library did that also included essays as secondary sources in addition to presenting data. And so I was able to pull from those essays significantly in filling out articles about local history. And that information is generally not well published. And so if you have access, or if you know of tools like that or sources like that, it can be really really easy to just include it in and put that, just extend that information even further. Do people have any other ideas that they'd like to speak up about? Guy also mentions that it's an opportunity to involve contributors from the region. And I think if anybody has the option to go to the ACOR edit-a-thons, that would be a really great collaboration opportunity. Does anybody want to answer Ibrahim's question in the chat? How trusted is the Wikipedia among students and researchers in the US?
Actually, if I could, I'll offer an observation and maybe other people can offer theirs as well. I find there's people look at it in both ways. I know for a fact that a lot of students use it. And I also know for a fact that a lot of the professors say, don't you dare put a Wikipedia citation in your bibliography. And I also know for a fact that a couple of faculty members are actually using creation of Wikipedia articles as a pedagogical tool, so that as a way of teaching students what is a reliable citation and what is not, and then basically turning student work into something that actually that lasts. So it's kind of a variety of approaches. I confess I use Wikipedia a lot, but fortunately I like to imagine that I am capable of judging, and of course I don't use it exclusively. I will sort of triangulate it with other things that I have access to, but so, I do use it quite a lot, certainly for things that I don't know anything about, or when I'm trying to learn about a person I've never heard of. But as I say, I feel like I am a sophisticated consumer of information, and I can spot problems more easily maybe than some of our students might be able to. But so it's sort of a complex environment of trust and mistrust, sort of all at the same time, and from every possible point of view.
But I think it's like a first stop. I mean, even among people who maybe don't value it the way they would value scholarly resources, I think, the way we've taught it and not used it as a librarian is exactly what Robin said. I'll look it up, kind of like oftentimes it's the first place to go. If there are good citations, if it leads me to other helpful sources, I won't stay there. Or, you're not supposed to use it in a paper, but as a place to get your first impression, very high, I think.
Also, I can add something, and I send you the link if you click that one. In 2012, there was one research and comparing Wikipedia with to Encyclopedia Britannica. So which one has more bias? And this article has been published in Harvard Press, and the result was quite surprising because people usually give more credit to Encyclopedia Britannica, but actually the results prove that on the contrary. I mean, Wikipedia is also a lot of many reliable sources and good editing.
I can add something, maybe not answering the question, but in relation, in our authority work in library in creating name authority or subject authority, Wikidata way before it was not a reliable source. We were not allowed to use it. But things have changed right now. If we want to add information that we use to make a proposal for subject heading, now it is acceptable to add Wikidata as a source. Maybe not the first source, but it is acceptable. So there is a change in the way we can look at Wikipedia.
Ed asked a really interesting question in the chat, is using Wikipedia like using Google Translate? And I think that that is an appropriate metaphor because in some ways it is. In some ways it's better because like I've used Wikipedia to find what the name of something would be if I only know the name in English and I can check what the name is in its article in a different language. And that one I know it was created by somebody who knows the language and knows what's popularly used. However, I know that there are articles being made in other languages actually using Google Translate. There's an I saw something about, I think it was Scotch. In the Scotch language, somebody who does not know the Scotch language actually put material through Google Translate, I believe, and created Wikipedia articles that way. And they made the majority of the articles in that language. So that there can be a lot of issues like that to be aware of. So I think that's a pretty good analogy because sometimes it can be really good and sometimes it can be terrible. But I would say that I think it's a little bit better than Google Translate. If only, I mean, and I will say also, there's a lot more protections and controls over the content of Wikipedia now than there were before. When I talk to students, a lot of times their only history of editing Wikipedia in the past has been times that they maybe vandalized articles when they were in high school. And that what they did actually stayed on Wikipedia for at least a day or so. And now if somebody comes in and vandalizes, it's often reverted within an hour or two. So it has improved as a source, but I think a lot of people still have the perceptions of Wikipedia as it was like even just 5 years ago. Yeah. Any other questions? Or anything that people want to contribute? It looks like we have 2 more minutes before we're scheduled. Donating to Wikipedia, like money or data or images? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to donate to Wikipedia.
Yeah, I chip in $1 every now and then. I mean, I use it. So, you know, they deserve $1 every now and then.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. I would love to maybe have a campaign at some point or something like that. I'm gonna put my email address in here. And we can, that's really cute. Thank you. Yeah, shukran jazilan. Maybe we could work with the Digital Scholarship Interest Group to organize something.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And so since we're about at time and we can wrap up, may I step in at this moment to bring our meeting to a close and overall, and to thank everyone who has attended so many sessions and contributed with their comments and insights and stories and participation and presentations. This has been This is the largest MELA conference we've ever had in terms of number of registrants, number of presentations, number of presenters, and in terms of number of time zones covered. So this was really a record-breaking event. And in like my final word of thanks to everyone is also to thank our lovely sponsors once again for their invaluable support. Arthur Fournier, Cambridge Archive Editions, Eastview Information Services, Hyperlink, Zero Books and LibraCons, Iran Farhang, Libra Books, Overdrive, Al-Muthanna Library, Project Muse, Quran Gateway, and Suleiman's Bookshop, without whom we could not possibly do our respective jobs. And yes, applause, applause, you know, really thank you everybody. Thank you all of you. And I said in another context, it takes a village to do this work. And this is our village. Okay, I will say good night and good day and safe journeys and sweet dreams. And we'll see you. You'll be hearing from the executive board. We have many plans for the year, and certainly we will at least see you next year, hopefully in person in Montreal. So, okay. Bye.